Cheers. Welcome to this special movie length episode on the XC Restoration, part 47. Not really movie length, but there's been a lot of people asking for content on this car. And I get preoccupied with other stuff, other smaller, easier stuff. The XC's challenging to do because it's not the simplest car, or at least not the easiest car to work on. There's always reasons why you're pulling things off again and making them fit and all this business. But it's turned out, originally when I bought the car, it was going to be a $15,000 turnaround. And I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to do it better than the XW, and that is precisely what it is. It's turning out to be a really, really nice restoration. Ground up, everything's been done to it. If you remember back to the first episode where we got a battered shell that was in very, very poor condition, and we said, I don't remember what I said now, it was something like, it's a GXL in down condition, but by the time we're finished, it'll be one of the nicer ones, and I think that's the case. I think it's going to be one of the very, very nicest ones. Even though it's not original, we don't know anything about the car. I've been to Vic Roads, I've been to AOMC, I've been everywhere trying to find out details on it. Cannot find out Zippo. Can't find anything out about it. So it hasn't got its pedigree. It hasn't got anything original in it, but it does have a receipt file and a diary of every bit of work we've done, that thick. So it's got its own pedigree now. Quite a long chapter, lots of bits and pieces that I haven't wanted to do. Fuel lines, just stuff like that, which I needed to get out of the way. And it's all looking really, really ship shape. So now I've got it to the stage. I tried to put a small muffler on the end of the engine pipe to start it. Not in this chapter, but I tried to put the muffler on in preparation for that. Can't find it. It's in the shed somewhere. It's buried, but that's all we need to put on, and then we can gas it up and start it up. So I took a straw pole. I got the idea for straw pole from Do It With Dan. He's an American bike rider, very fast H2 supercharged motorcycle, and he's got GDR Skyline and all this sort of stuff. He's pretty into the high performance stuff, and he ran a straw pole on a bike he was building, and I thought that was a really good idea. So the first one we ran on the XC is, should we use the Police Interceptor Speedo or should we use the original one? And the consensus was the original one. So I've got this cop one here, and it's, well, I've just put it back in its case to keep it in good condition. It's absolutely flawless, and it's only showing 100,000 Ks or something. So we've gone back to the original type. What else is there? The other one we ran, of course, is on the Sigma. So we shelved the Sigma for the last few days. The weather's been perfect. It's been a good opportunity to get these cars out and get started on this car. And now I'm very, very happy with the progress. So this wouldn't have been possible without all the people helping, not just through Patreon and donations of parts, but also donation of time as well. And so many people have pitched in with this XC, so it was never on the cards to get rid of it or stop doing it or whatever. I did consider it a couple of years ago at one stage. It's been going now for 4 years. It was starting to drag a bit. But the best thing about a car like that is because we're aiming to do it very, very well, we can always come back to it. And so to bail on it would have been a terrible mistake, not just from my perspective, but all the people that have donated funding and also parts and, as I said before, their time as well. So I'm forever thankful for that. So without rattling on too much, I hope you enjoy. An absolutely gorgeous autumn afternoon. I've done all my chores. I've taken my mum out for lunch and helped her out with some shopping. Come home, done the back lawn, and kids are at work. Well, the eldest daughter's at work. So now I've got the afternoons myself. And it's time to have a look at our XC. Now the XC followers don't really like MGs and Sigmas in these videos. Sigma. 2 litre 4-cylinder. What's that, like 120 cubic inch? So now I've upset a few people. Let's get back into this thing. So what we need to do today, we've got to jack the car up. We're going to take the wheels off. We've got to put the brake calipers on and brake pads. I can finish the front brakes, but I can't finish the rear because I haven't got some of the hoses for the back and whatever else comes. So without messing around too much more, I think we'll make a start. I've just opted for a steel spare wheel. I just had to make sure it fitted. I was a bit nervous. I knew it was a Falcon wheel with a big centre, but just wanted to make sure it's a little bit tight around the hub because of the powder coating. But we can chuck that in the boot now. There you go, you can pop him in there. I have to reset the springs for the boot. the boot lid because I took them out for the screen fitter. How many times do you see a bloke wiping down his spare wheel? I should have put tyre shine on, but I've run out. And let me put that there. This was only plated about 3 or 4 years ago. The car was supposed to be 2 years, and I have not kept my end of the bargain. That goes in there somewhere. Now we can continue to store stuff in here. This looks absolutely neglected. Look at there, it's all the dust and sort of stuff up here. It's all, I haven't done any work on this car for such a long time. But it all wipes off, you see, so we're good. I've just got to get under here and clean it all again, particularly that lower arm. These are all powder coated, so they wipe off really easily. Down on the lower arm, you can see down there, I'm not sure if you can, it is just thick with dust. Look at that. Shows you how dirty my garage is. But we're not here to clean, we're here to put this thing together. So what we need to do, after I've just wiped down the sway bar and the radius rod and all that sort of stuff, is fit the calipers. Now, what we're going to think about before we put pads in is this has still got, the disc still has its residue, its packaging residue. I didn't clean that off because I didn't want them to corrode. So we'll do that first, just with a bit of GP thinner, that'll be enough. And then we can start putting it together. I'll just turn the steering a bit. I don't know if I've... Oh, I haven't done this. I haven't done that up. Why didn't I do that up? Right. Okay. I didn't do that up for a reason. I don't remember the reason. Because the bottom ball joint's undone as well. Maybe, I don't know, I want to set up by hand or something. Not sure. They're tight. I've just remembered, I don't think I've got copper washers either. This is just a bit of GP thinner, just to get any crud off there or greasy stuff, anti-corrosion stuff. Funny, these discs come in sort of a bare finish like this. The XWs was sort of a gunmetal finish. I don't know why. I don't think it even matters. Anyway, the rest of this will just burn off. The moment we start using our brakes, which won't be for a while because we haven't even got the engine running yet, we've got these calipers we did last year. And we've got some pads to stick in. Now I haven't got copper grease because I just haven't. My brother's got a big full thing of it and I forgot to go and get it. But if they squeak like the XWs do, then I shall go and get it. Bloody hell. You can bend these in a little bit, but I didn't want to take them too far because I don't want them rattling around. But at the end of the day, I should really be putting copper grease on them. It just makes them a little bit quieter. Trying that for size, hey? There we go. Much better. And we need one of these ones. And they go around there. And there. And they should fit, which they kind of do, which is good. And we just bolt the bugger up. I'm just going to find copper washers, which are a bit of a nuisance, but what do you do? Here we go. I just like the natural finish of the cast a lot better. I just think it looks so much nicer. And put this on. Big one to the top. Great. That just went over yonder. So use this one instead. You shouldn't need lock washers with, what do you call it? When you wire them. It's a bit overkill, but no, they're front brakes, so there's no harm. And we can just tighten these up. Might use a spanner on that actually. That's nice and tight. Double check that one down the bottom. And we'll wrap him up with some wire. Just try to remember if it had like some of these brackets and so forth, I just don't remember if it had them there. But, oh, hang on a second. Put that back over that one. But yeah, it's a bit of a challenge because we did change pretty much everything, and a lot of this stuff, that's kicking over, I don't like that. A lot of this stuff wasn't there when we got the car. Added to the fact that I welded a plate in there because all the holes, I don't know if you remember this, it's been a long time ago, all the holes were just completely flogged out. So the car was a bloody mess. And, you know, so just sort of making this up as I go along. So got that tightened up. The one on the caliper is just in finger tight because I haven't got the copper washers. I thought I had them and I didn't. Whoops, let me just tighten it. So it's been, I'm just tightening this up. It's my fault because I've left it too long. But that's that side done. Aside from the thing being really dirty, that's on full lock and I'm very pleased with how that is. I lied, I have put those ones in the XC, I forgot about those. But all the other bushes are the original type, so there you go. You just got to give it a good clean, it's really, really dirty. It's neglected, the poor thing. So many people would give their eye teeth to have a car like this and I've just forgotten about this. Anyway, I'm going to do the other side now. I'm just going to lip these wires. And hang on a sec. We've got lock nuts, but you know what? It doesn't hurt to do this. We'll just try and tidy it up a bit. Stick one around the bottom. Yeah, the bottom one go. Same sort of thing, isn't it? And we don't have to be all that tidy about it, I don't suppose, but as long as they're there, I'm happy. Right, so they're all done, all secured, all looking pretty good, and we've got the wires up the front, in there, and also down the bottom bar. I don't know if you can see that. So that's all good. I've just got to get those copper washers in the fronts are completely finished. Engine bay's all disgusting and dusty, absolutely awful, but what do you do? Hasn't been started or anything yet. The other thing I've got to do is wire up the neutral start. I lost the original manual loom I had. I don't know where the heck it is, but I've lost it. I don't know. I just don't know what to do with that. Right, so moving to the other side, we've got the same deal. Ditto, all done and wired and all sorts of other stuff. Have to get under here and wire the, where's it, starter solenoid there. This hasn't got a clapper, this has got a Bosch one. And you can just see how dusty and horrible it is. This engine pipe's temporary, so it's just started. It's off the engine stand. It looks so much cleaner than under the poor Sigma. That's a bit of a mess. And it looks a little bit Edward Scissorhands with all these cobwebs and bits and pieces. Look at that one. And also hang off the fuel line over there. I don't know if you can see. Loads of cobwebs. So it needs a clean, but it is ultimately pretty clean, if that makes any sense. I think what we'll do now is we'll get under the back and stick the back brakes on. Right, so same sort of thing we did at the front. Just gonna put the calipers on. Need to also peg out how long our steel brake lines need to be. So I think I'll chuck these little guys on now. I can't see what I'm doing, I've got no idea. Right, so while we're under here, I've got a brake line coming up from the thing onto here, and I've got to make up as a hard steel one. So I've got to go and see Peter and get the Sigma done at the same time. So I'm going to map it out with a piece of wire, just so I know exactly what I'm up against, and transfer that to a bit of 3/16 bundy tube. Okay, so we've pulled our interior out of the Ford again. It was never sort of put in there permanently. It was just a temporary sort of move. So I've got those wiring looms to go for the power windows. They need to go in. We have to drill the doors. Just looking around, I've got to put the seat belts in the back, and I noticed a couple of holes in the floors from where I didn't weld up. I've put a VL Commodore plug in there, another one there. Hang on a second. There we go. Rubber would be better, but that'll do for now. So looking at this rear loom, that hole is going to be the same size as this one. The front one has a larger grommet going into the door. and a smaller one going into the body. And the other thing is, Ford, they put dimples where you got to drill. I don't think it's that one. I think it's that one. I need to check. The front one's a lot more obvious. We'll just take that with us and have a look. Where it's pretty cut and dried where it needs to go. It's a shorter run between grommets on the front loom as well. And we have to do some touch-ups and stuff like that. I haven't finished doing a lot of this work. So we know that small one goes on that side, so this one here needs to be a bigger hole. So we need to find out what size bit that uses. Right, so I'm going to pop some holes in. I've got a piece of newspaper here taped up. So any swarf will fall down here and onto the ground. It won't go on the hinge. It will be difficult to get because there's a bit of grease on the hinge, but not just that, it'll eventually rust, I suppose. It won't do it any harm, but it'll eventually rust and leave brown spots everywhere. So I'm just going to pop a pilot hole in here. I've got the camera sort of in the way. There we go. It's pretty important to get this right because there's no way I want to start welding up mistakes and bits and pieces like that. So I'm just trying to find maybe a bit bigger. I wouldn't want any bigger than that. That's probably about the size of it. Let me see if I've got an appropriate size hole saw. And this is a very cheap DeWalt set that was on special. Apparently it's good quality. If it's DeWalt, I'd have thought it would be good quality. That's going to be a bit small. And that's going to be too big. So I think I'm going to chance it and go for the one that's a bit small and just try and shoehorn the thing in. We've got our pilot in there, our pilot hole. So we can just now try to drill a real hole. It kind of goes against you doing this stuff, but what do? You've got to make it work. I can't see around the camera. Hang on a minute. I've got the pilot there. Yep, it is. Let's go. Might go at a slower speed. And also a lot of heat's going to get into this. I'm just going to do it bit by bit, not just to protect the hole saw, but also to protect the paint around where the hole is. I can't see. I'm going to have to move the... Here we go. And I suppose you can sort of bias a little bit to cut sort of in different areas, but you can see it looks to be quite neat so far. Rough off. Let's take this up now. Hang on a minute, I'm just reaching round. Oh. I'm using one hand. And there we go. Not too bad. And we'll just get a bit of black jam and just stick it around there. The grommet will cover. Oops, the grommet will cover. Well, most of it except that bit that I've just messed up. And it will protect it a bit. I've got some Nissan, special Nissan stuff. It's like a wax you put in things like this, and it will protect it further. Just go around the inside there. Now Ford didn't bother doing any of this, but that'll do for now. It's quite incredible, really. You set out to do a task. Where are we? Around the back in here. I thought to myself, you know what, while I do the seatbelts, I was going to pop the rear seatbelt in, the vent on the fuel tank, it's pretty easy to get through here. Might make it difficult to get later if I need to though. Might pop that in. And also there's a manifold there for the emissions. I think I might pop that in from here too because it's going to be a lot easier. I thought I'd charge one battery up. Look how bright these things are. It lights the whole garage up at night. Okay, so I've been digging around in the boot and I found this under the bench to put on. This is for the evaporative emissions in the tank, and you can see it's all kind of knackered at the top. What I might do, I think I can get that off and just make a steel one. I don't know if I've got any. Oh, this is hard to get off. I don't know if I've got any suitable tube. I'm just going to see. Otherwise, I'm not sure. Also, if I've got any 5/16 Bundy, because I can just make a loop with it and just join it. But we'll see. Got some vacuum line. I'll put a bigger radius in. I think that's going to do. just fine, provided it's not too tall. So there's a cover for it somewhere. Ooh, that looks a bit mucky. There's a cover for it somewhere. That just scratches off. So I wouldn't mind finding that and just sticking this stuff in, then it's done, you know what I mean? Alright, so I've scotch brightered this and got all the scaly nonsense off. It looks fairly okay. It goes there, there's a hole. I need to grommet. Hang on a minute. Half-inch one fits. I'm just going to get a wad punch and knock a hole in there, and that way we can sort of stick it over the hose and have it all working properly. Right, so I think we're good. I've got to, I'm just reaching over you. Actually, this would be sexual harassment, wouldn't it? Maybe I'll go the other side. I've got to be careful these days. Okay, punch the hole in that little grommet, and that guy is going to go in there. If I don't drop it through the bloody car, which I didn't, there it is there. And that means I can, whoops, put a bit of CRC on the little thing and push it through. Can you even see that? Where's my finger? Yeah, you can see that, just a moment. Excuse the state of this car. It's really dirty, dusty and that sort of thing. So that will go back up there and then come down somehow. I'm probably hitting the rear axle though. It clips up there somewhere, and then this manifold thing goes there. Somehow. I've got to figure it out in just a minute. So this would be appropriate for XB GT, oh XB Falcon, sorry. 1976 ones, I think. Oh yeah. That clips up there. But you're in the way, so I have to move you. Which is probably considered more sexual harassment. Okay. So we'll just screw that down. So I've just really lightly smeared on a bit of rubber grease, just a hint of it. Isn't that a revolting word, smear? Ugh, smear. I need a screwdriver, just a minute, hang on. Okay, that goes in there. And I'll show you, I know this is emissions and you're probably not interested in this, but I think it's necessary to not trap that in the wrong spot. That would have been a great freaking start, wouldn't it? So, I'm going to get that out. Oh, fuck it up. Hang on. Maybe we'll take it out again. I haven't yet got round to rerouting the thing. I can sit there. Is that better? Can you see now? Because I can't see what you can see. Because you're on the opposite side. Up you go. And where's the other one? Okay. And that seals up this whole edge, this whole top part of the tank. So we could put fuel in it now and it wouldn't smell. Well, it probably would because there's no fuel line in the bottom, but all the top stuff is done. That's how it goes. It vents up here, and just so we don't get any fuel travelling up, we've got a separator. And then it falls beneath the car down there. Pardon me. And I've got this thing, I've got the foggiest how it goes. It kind of protects things, but I've just got to figure out how that all fits. At the moment, I have no idea. So, no complaints with these. They're not dull at all. There's a bit of swarfy stuff stuck to them, but I just sort of drilled a little bit and stopped. Went and did something else, like played around with the evaporative emissions, then came back, did a bit more. I didn't let them get too hot. And they're still really sharp. So I was surprised. I thought these were junk, to be honest. The only reason I bought them in this kit was because it said DeWalt, and I know they make good stuff. So for 39 bucks, that is a bit of a winner. So, heads or tails? This is how it's going to go. I'm heads, so I'm the white side. You're tails. And can you see that? We'll try this one. Best of 4. And well, there's the result. We got 1 tail, 1 head, 2 tails. So you win. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Even if you're a vegan. Here, just to do the carpet and the, what do you call it? Power window holes. Keep finding bits. I've just put the rear seat belts in. I forgot about those. Really missed it, Earth. And I don't remember when I wrote this. This would have come out of this car. This was one of the few things this shell had left in it. A piece of wire. It kind of goes down here and it earths against. Hang on, where's my light? Give me my light. Oh. It earths against there. I found it. So, whack that in. I had to sort of move the tongues down from the window because they were trapped up behind the rear Venetian. So that was pretty dumb. But we got it now, so it's cool. I'm just going to pop this in. And then I think we'll get those rear, or those, what do you call them, electric window looms in. Right, so I popped the belts in. I'm not bolting the bottoms of these down because the scrop's got to go in yet, but just in checking the operation. The belts are in good condition. They're probably a tiny bit hard, but they're still, they're still in good condition. One of them's centre only, and that one's like, oh, it does go in there, but so it's all working. I'm going to have to fiddle with that as long as it's tracked properly. And of course the middle one. Now the kicker was that these ones will be alright. I've just got to sort of clean them up with warm soapy water. These are the front ones and they're a little bit frayed. I don't like them, so I'll get them re-webbed. Andy Brooke got his redone and they were really, really effective. They were good. But I didn't have the female part of the buckle because these are off that ZH Fairlane marquee that's at Jason's house, and that had electric seats. And those buckles are bolted directly to the seat frame. They're not going to the floor. And I was looking for the spacers for these to keep the belts movable. And I found a pair of the correct buckles. I mean, I don't even know where these came from. But what a find. I've no idea where I got them. I've had them for years though in a box. So I dare say we can clean these up and put new stickers in there so it just looks like that. But that's it. I think what we'll do now is start laying carpet. Oh no, we'll put the power window things in first, I think. Yeah, I think we'll do that. So anyway, this goes in here. I can see a light through there. And there's a plug down there which will it'll connect to. So I'm just going to grab it. There it is. And I can already see the plug sitting there waiting because I left them there in the right spot. So we just poke that down. That will go in there. Now this is the one I'm not worried about. This is the one I've got to fit. This loom had additional wiring here for the courtesy light at the base of the door that the LTDs had. This is the Fairlane marquee. I think the Fairlane had it too, I'm not sure. That's for the motor, that's for the switch. So this has to go in here. And I'll have to secure it so it doesn't get in the way of the window motor mechanism and all that sort of business. And that will just literally all go in there. And then that has to go in there. But I'm just going to make it so it's not so twisted. I'm leaning over the camera, so I'm just going to poke that in and it should look okay. Now that's going to stretch when I open the door. So before I clip the inside of it, where does it want to come from? Okay, it's a bit tight. I'll take it out from the door, just so we've got ample there. I don't want it too tight though. I think that's going to be right there, just a minute. Right, so that just plugs in there. This all tucks in behind the kick trim. And that one will be for the back loom. This one I've just clipped in there, just with the cable tie. And that can come through the top for our power window switch. And I'll work out the slack, if you know what I mean, behind there and sort of how to retain it. The motor's hooked up as well, but again the bracket for the motor's not. So I do have to finish off in there a little bit, although it's only about 10 minutes work. I just don't want to do any more at the moment. But the main thing is that that's fine. That'll be good. Happy with that. Rear looms are a bit of a pain in the neck to fit. The front one was too, the driver's one, because it's a thick loom. So they ordinarily, they want to go to the wrong side of the, hang on. They want to go to the wrong side of the Bailey channel. So I'll get it and I'll show you what I'm talking about with the rear. So that's just paint, that bit there. I've loosened the Bailey off to get the loom around this side because it'll want to go to the outside of the Bailey channel retaining sort of thing. And it's tight. It's actually really tight to get through. There we go. And I need advice. I really do need advice with this because the rear loom where it goes to the car, where it goes to the body, I think it goes to the inside here and then down. It looks wrong, but it looks even more wrong the other way. So I'm not terribly sure of the best way to put it. Where's my screwdriver? I've got to get this in. Maybe I can just wiggle it in. There we go. So yeah, I mean, does it go down there like that? I don't know if there was a hole there that I welded up. I can't remember. But getting these in without the seat belts there is easy because you can just turn it around and feed it through into the channel, whereas otherwise you're going to be using snares and all sorts of stuff to get it in. So that bit there is not too hard to figure out, but the just to make sure I don't pull that courtesy light out thing out. But I'm a little bit worried about this because it's awfully long and it's sort of, I think it goes down the inside of the hinge. I can't be the outside because you'd see it through the gap in the door. So if anyone can advise me, I would really appreciate that. So that's one for John and Mark Parnas. They have an XB Falcon with power windows. Right, I think it might be time to start the carpet fitting, which is what I came out to do today. I've only got 2 loom covers for the back. They're supposed to be countersunk screws, but I haven't got any, and they're very flush, so I don't think it's going to be a problem with this big thick carpet that's going in. It's just sort of a double thickness cut. All it means is we'll just have to saw some for the fronts, but that won't stop me with the carpet. The other thing is I've broken a wire on the rear loom for the power windows. I can just unplug that and solder it outside the car. There's plenty of, plenty of free lead, so to speak, to do that. So I think the first thing we'll do is we'll stick Jason's modified squab in the back. That is going to be a temporary fit because I haven't made up that soundboard yet, that insulation board. You can buy them, but I bought one for the XW and I wasn't all that happy with it. I might just make one out of a bit of 3mm ply, paint it black and stick some sand in behind it. We've got the parcel tray in, the rear demister's hooked up, the evaporative emissions is all hooked up, the power windows are hooked up. So yep, I think we'll go and get that seat and stick that in and we'll make a start on the carpet. Righty. So, Knox Auto Trimmers, Knox Auto Carpets are the makers of this carpet we're putting in, and they show you very explicitly where not to fit the underlay. So there's a box here with the seat mount, and it's got to come around and sort of up there like that, and along that, so it's got to sort of come up and fit across. Where the seats bolt, you don't want underlay. So, and they also tell you not to put it up the sides, I think. I can't really see it. But anyway, I'm going to fit this. What if I move it down a bit and just work out exactly what I've got, and I'll cut it out and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, underlays in. It's 2-piece at the front. I've got a seam going out the middle. It's just easier to get it nice and tight around there. I'm fussy about carpets being tight around the tunnels to here, and you can see how poor it is under the back seat because we ran out, and that's just a bit of old XW stuff. It's under the back seat. I might change it if I buy another piece, but we'll see. I'm not too fussed about it for now. Oh, doesn't it look nice? So it's a moulded carpet, and we've just got to press it into the right position. If I move it around, so I can find where it fits the best, which will be something like that. Not quite there yet though. You sort of know, they sort of just pop in, if you know what I mean. They pop into where they're meant to be. Where's that hole? It's there. There it is there. Now you can use a soldering iron to do this sort of thing, but I don't want to dirty mine up. Alright, put our first bolt in. There of the thread a bit. There we go. Nice and tight on the tunnel. I'll do this side and we're good. Alright. Yeah. Hang on. I've just got to get this over. I've just cut it. Get all that wiring out. And pull that up into position. Hang about, we'll have to go to the other side. I won't be able to get it from there. We're running low on light. I might have to get another light out so you can see what we're doing. Because you want that heel mat to be nice and straight. That's got to go further up, I think. There we go. And we'll just pull him down. And that is not up the top bit there enough. So I'm just going to move. Hang on a minute. I've just realised I've got to undo the seatbelt to get him in there. That was pretty clever, wasn't it? So, if I can remember where I popped the holes for this, which is going to be a bit of a challenge. Oh, there's one, there's two, there's three, and there should be another one down here somewhere. Good, where for? So we can bolt that down, and then once these are bolted down, they'll pull the carpet down, and then I can trim the sides. Sweet. So it doesn't give me a good idea of contrast, but I've got to, I'm leaning over the camera here. Sorry about that. I've just got to cut some of this back. I might go, this blade's a bit dull. I might go and get another blade. Oops. There we go. Let's run back here a bit. And I'm just going to make sure it pushes in. I don't want it where the screw holes are, but I don't want it too short either. So I put the seat cushions in to give me the to push the carpet right in, if you know what I mean, because it's quite a thick carpet. Pop these in. The worst part is I've had to use, oops, hang on, I've had to use bigger fasteners here because the holes are so plugged out. If I'd noticed it before when I was doing the body, I just would have just stuck a little tack of weld in each hole just to tighten it up. I've just put the seats in two halves. It's just easier in this garage because there's no room, and it saves me from scratching stuff. Although having said that, I did scratch the thing on the other side, but I can touch that up pretty easily. There's a bunch of touch-ups I've got to do, and there's also a bit of cleaning in and around the seats from dirty fingerprints and that sort of stuff. But I'm going to bang this in. So Susie always likes to create tables a good few days before the event. This is our Easter table. And you can see the event she goes to. She takes a good deal of pride in this sort of stuff. Lovely settings, and we've got gold or sort of chrome bunnies. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Oh, hang on a second. We've got to straighten you up. Is that straight? Anyway, today's Tuesday. And this is for Good Friday. So I'm really looking forward to a lovely Easter lunch. It's the following day, and I'll tell you what, we have another absolutely great day. So I managed to swing a deal with wifey that I can spend another day in here, provided I take her out to lunch, which I haven't done. Right, so XC, we're back on it. Good day for the Sigma to be out in the sunshine. I'll push it out a bit further. I'll do that now, and that way I can get that paint nice and hard. It is now anyway, and wet sand it. So, fuel lines. They're the original fuel lines for the XC. There's a few different types here. There's your regular 5/16 plastic. The emissions one is thinner. That's that one. And that's a good emissions piece there, so we can reuse this bit that's coiled up. That's fine. It's still got the little piece of vacuum hose, which seems to be in reasonably good nick, and that can go back on the canister and go down to the tank. That goes inside the sill, and of course we've got these other bits as well. So what I originally wanted to do was use 5/16 Bundy. The XW uses 3/8 for the 5.8. The XCs use 5/16 because they were a much, I suppose, lower performance thing. They weren't seen as GT Bathurst cars, so they used a smaller fuel line, which, let's face it, the XW's got 3/8, but it's got a 2-barrel carb in it, gets driven like a granny. And we got these two bits here. Now, this is the original one. That's the original one out of the car. This goes above the rear chassis rail, sort of up in there, and goes down to the tank. Now, as I was cleaning it, because I started cleaning it up, I noticed this and cut it off. Can we focus on that? There it is there. Now what that's going to mean is if the fuel pump was able to draw, we would have had fuel leaking down in the back wheel area. While the engine was running, and of course once it had stopped, air would enter here and the fuel would all settle. Now I don't think the fuel pump would have been able to overcome that. The weight of the fuel would have been such that that would have been, where's the hole there, that would have been a great breeding ground for a misdiagnosis of a faulty fuel pump. That's it, there you can see it. So they would have been blaming the fuel pump and then put a fuel pump on, I would think, and then the thing still wouldn't start. So that's the reason for that. So the Fairlane had this piece, which is not cleaned up, but in, well, aside from being grotty, it's still in very, very good condition. So I'm going to put that in. The plastics for the interior, which I'll show you at the end of the video, we can see some ochre from the Fairlane. They're the dogleg mouldings, and they will need to be cut sort of up there and up, if you know what I mean. They're too long. Fairlanes are much longer than the dogleg because they've got a longer wheelbase, the same as a Falcon wagon. The other two bits where the front seat belts mount, of course the lower pieces, and kick trims. So I'm going to recolour them. Now that's all right, provided the parts have been armour-alled. Some dash components are slimy with silicone and that stuff lasts 50 years. Even if you put CRC on these, you'll get 12 months and then it's all sort of gone, you know what I mean? It evaporates quite quickly. So I've got to paint those up, which I don't have the match for, but I do have some of the vinyl that Jason didn't like. He didn't like the grain in it when he was doing the door trims, and I'll use that as a basis for getting a colour match. Well, I'll just cut a piece off. I also want to have a look at this, which really irks me. I've got to look at my engine, it's filthy. That's the neutral start, and of course we've got the neutral word up here, mate. The neutral start switch, so you've got the reverse lights, there's two of them, and I'll tell you what those are. They're these two, here and here. Oh man, those two there, and that will be the neutral starts for the automatic. Now that runs a loop in this car, and that's your reverse lights. So I've taken that off the reverse lights. That's just a homemade loom that took me 10 minutes. It'll get me through until I find the right one. And I also need to put in a battery cable, and I don't think I've got one, from the starter down here to the positive side of the battery. Of course that's the vehicle feed. We also need the big one for the starter motor, and that's earthed as well. I just need to check. Yes, that's cool. I just wanted to check that's earthed straight to the engine down in there. Can you see? I don't know if you can see that. And we need to make sure the engine's earthed to the body, because I can't remember putting it on. Yes I have, it's down there. So that's the earth. So more work on the XE. Right, so in the car, that's the fuel tank there. The fuel line was a little bit tricky. We've got it sort of up here and it wraps around and comes on the outside there. This is the original Falcon one. The Fairlane one would need to fit. Now it comes down here and then disappears. I'm going to turn the camera around. I don't know if you can see it. There's a hole there for the evaporative and the fuel line to go. And there's the evaporative one there. That I found a clip for here, which I never even saw before. So the challenge I've got is getting the steel fuel line in. I wanted to use steel, not plastic, and the issue is there's no protection here for it. There's only that much room, so you can't run on the outside, which is where the XW one is. Otherwise I wouldn't bother trying to put in the sill until we meet up with that guy up there. So yeah, there's a lot of work in it, or a bit of work in it. We just got to think a bit how we want to do it to effect the best repair. Now the other thing I've done, that engine pipe is, where are we, is straight off the engine stand, and I don't really want the exhaust blowing straight into the fuel line, although that's exactly where the joint is. Hang on, let me move up. yeah, that as opposed to that. It's probably not a biggie, but it's sort of downturned. I wanted it further up. I might have to cut that off and re-weld it so it's along here, and then just put a muffler on just so I can drive it down to have the exhaust done. I'll get Dale to do that too. But yeah, more of the same, I think. Building a house down the road. This is the vapor line for the charcoal canister. It goes from the tank up and it joins at the back wheel. I'm just scotch-brighting some of the gunk off just so I can have a good look at it to make sure there's no ruptures or anything like that, and then we'll just blow in one end just to make sure. I'm going to put this down in the sill first because it needs more room being plastic to be able to find the hole at the back, if you know what I mean. And the steel one, oh, that's where a clamp went. The steel one is more rigid and we've got more hope of getting it through. Being rigid, if you know what I mean. So that looks fairly kosher. So we'll just keep going and whoops, just see how she is. If I stick my mouth on that, white stuff came out. That's not good. Okay, that's split there. But it is holding pressure. So we have to repair that bit. But aside from that, it's all fine. Really good vacuum line. This stuff, you can't actually kink it. It's really, really good. So we can replace that piece. And it grips on there nice and tight too. So that one there would be for the tank, which is that guy. I really need to clean this car up. It's foul. And we'll just get a bit of that and push it onto the canister. We'll be fine. Alright, underneath. Let's go. Alright. I can feel it. Oh, come back. A bit of dust in there. Alright, that's that one. I've got a grommet there. Not the cleanest grommet, but that will go up and it reaches, which is cool. So we know we've got that one right. The fuel line worries me a bit though. Well, we are all plumbed up. The fuel's completely plumbed up. The evaporative emissions are, we've got a fuel filter down there and a dusty power steering pump. I've not used any of the plastic. I've just bound it up in cable ties and I'll throw it under the bench. Never know when we can use this, but I'm not going to use it for now, so I'll just go under there. We'll take a look underneath. Alright, so you can't see fuel lines across there, which is the way Ford intended it. But you can see where it exits there. And look, I spent a while under here and I didn't feel great when I came out because I don't like being under a car. Used to do auto transmissions at City Ford, a couple of them a day sometimes, and XF Borgwarner 35s we were getting out in 25 minutes was my record anyway, and you always came out feeling a bit dizzy, but it's just hoisted just so much better. So you can see there the fuel line's got a joint in it. That's where the joint from the original one was, because it joined into a steel forward cable that went to the fuel pump. That's what that bit was before that we were talking about, and the emission one is there too. We've got that sort of clipped. We'll take a look around the back. I feel I could have done this better by straightening that and just having this rubber part of hose tucked up further. I'm not sure I like that, and that clamp's a bit dodgy. It's not the right one, but I didn't want it to rub through, and that was actually moving around. Let's have a look. Oh, that grommet's not sitting either. There it is there. I've got it coming out and it goes up and just joins up there to where it goes into the fuel pump, or the tank I should say. Bits of fabric like this, just from pushing the steel through the sill. I didn't want it to pick up anything on the way through, and I want it to remain clean. So that's the fuel line done, thank heaven, because I did not enjoy that. Right, so this is my engine running stand box. It's where I keep all the hardware and bolts and bits of electrical stuff and all sorts of stuff that's affiliated with the engine running stand. Among them is a couple of battery cables. I don't think that's going to be long enough, and I don't want to put a mangy one in, although I can clean that up. I think that's shorter than this black one. Yes, considerable margin. Don't know if I can fit that. It's a proper one, it's a bought one. would have been, gosh, I would have had that 10 or 12 years now. So I don't know if it's going to work. So just kind of pegging it out roughly. We're not using a clapper. I think I mentioned in this car. We're using a Bosch starter. And so I'll wrap it in convoluted tubing. Oh God. Oh, it might be right. That might fit. I need to keep it away from the exhaust. I think that's going to fit. So, whoops. I might just wrap that up in the convoluted tubing and get underneath and have a bit of a look, hey? Actually, I might lower the back. That'll bring the front up. God, look at my engine. I've got to clean this. I get sad when I see it like this. It makes me feel awful. Gosh, what a day. I had an argument with my wife. She said, you should go outside. And I said, I am outside. I'm in the garage. She goes, yeah, but you're inside in the garage. I said, no, it's outside. The garage is outside. She said, well, the house is outside too, but we're still inside. What a gorgeous day. Look at it. Huh. Right. Starter motor. Convoluted tube on an XC. I think it's, I mean, people put it on, but from the factory, Ford started using this with the XD. The engine wiring loom is full of it. So what we'll do, I'm still going to tape off a bit on the, what do you call it, the trigger for the solenoid. I think we'll just run a band of tape around here just to keep it all closed up and nice. And that'll give it some protection from the exhaust and just see if it fits. So I'm just sort of tightening this up. Oh, no, I want that down. Hang on. Oh, this is difficult. Hang on. Just want to keep it down a bit so it doesn't go against the exhaust. And I've just got to do something. I just want to put a bit of tape around that tubing, just around the top there, so it doesn't sort of come out like that. So I'll just get a bit of tape and tape that up. Now I plug that on, and we should, I'm sort of tipping, I might, what's this? Oh, that's just secured down there, I see. Alright, so I've got to keep this away from the exhaust, if I can. I'm just going to get above and have a bit of a look. I've no idea if you can see from where you are, but I might just stick a couple of cable ties just there to the power, is that the power steering line? Yeah, to the power steering line. I'll just put two there, and that should keep it nice and low. Heat rises, and we'll also get some airflow through here, so that should be okay. God, if I could see what I'm doing. I think that's alright. Let's have a look from above. And looking down there, that looks alright. I think that's going to be okay. We've got it coming up here. We've got plenty of lead for the terminals. It can be. It'd be better if the positive's on this side. And there's the neg, and that's pretty munted, but what do you do? But now we've got that connected, so that's cool. Well, I think it's probably a good time now to add something from Liam, a fellow school teacher in Queensland who bought this absolutely gorgeous centre hub for our Fairmont. So I'll put that in and we'll do a bit of a reveal, hey? And here it is. And I'm absolutely rapt with how it's turned out. Jason's work on the door trims and the seats is phenomenal. It really is absolutely beautiful. We've still got to get the door seals and wheel lacing, and I've got to do the door trims and do the headrests and all that sort of stuff. But you can see just the sheer quality of it is phenomenal. I don't want to get this thing dirty. I'm wearing all my old clothes and boots and all this sort of stuff, but it is absolutely brilliant. The seats feel suede. The original Ford material was corduroy, and it's beautiful and it's very hard wearing and it's stood the test of time, but this feels infinitely more luxurious. And the door trims, in a weird way, feel like the leather. It's all by fluke too, because it was the colour I wanted, not the material I wanted. Do you know what I mean? So when I chose the vinyl for the door, there was only one colour that was going to do, and it was that. And it just turns out it's really high grade stuff. It's not secured yet, so I've got to be careful when I open the doors that it doesn't catch and damage them and so forth. The carpet is the ultra deep stuff, deep pile stuff from Knox Auto Carpets, but it is stunning. It's just so much better than I thought it would turn out. I'm absolutely stoked with it. So with the feel of it, I'm kind of glad that I pulled the Police Interceptor Speedo out. There were a few people that said, or a couple of people said, police Speedos belong in police cars, but when you're building a car from a bare shell, I don't think it really matters. It's what you want that counts. And I came across that and I thought, this will make a different car. It'll be different from the bulk of other XCs. And this is different anyway. It really is. I just couldn't want better. I'm very, very happy with it. I'm happy with the colour I chose. A lot of it was not by design. I knew exactly what I was doing with the XW, but not with this car. This was just, we'll see what comes up and we'll see what I can use, because it was essentially a battered shell. And so we had no parts. And so we had to start from scratch. And given that, I'm really happy with how it's turned out. Liam's centre piece, or horn button. It's not a horn button. What do you call that? Steering wheel centre is phenomenal. It's better than the original wheel. I am tempted to get that leather wrapped. A very fine grey leather that some trimmers will do for you. There's the original Speedo. It's showing 79,000 kilometres. And we don't know what this shell had done. We don't know anything about it. I've tried to find out through Vic Roads. I've tried everything to find out some history on this car, and I can't find out anything. So it looks like it's just had a major 80,000 service with new engine, new interior, brand new car, really. I hope you like it. I really do hope you like it, because I'm absolutely thrilled to bits with it. It just doesn't look like another Fairmont GXL that I've seen. And the kicker is it's a 5.8 litre manual. That's the good bit. We need to clean this up. We've now got it all plumbed up so we can start it, and wide. So I did notice when I put the dash back, a couple of lights are out, so I've got to fiddle around with that, and they're a pain to get those dashes out. I've got to drop the column and all this sort of stuff. But really, it's just small fry. We've got to cut Jason's door trims for the remote mirror. There's a remote mirror going on this side, and the power window things and all that sort of other stuff. But I haven't done the boot either. That's sort of still sitting over there. But until next time, I hope you've enjoyed this. I've certainly been enjoying it, getting back onto this car and ironing out some of those things that I didn't want to do, like fuel lines and so on and so forth. So take good care of yourselves, enjoy your classic, and I'll see you soon. Bye.